things you wish you could go back and tell your 22-year-old self. Hi guys, welcome back to TFE with Ashley and Nate. And today we're going to chat about what we would tell our 22-year-old self, what we know now then. Nate, take it away.
Well, I'll tell you, my 20s were a very interesting time of my life with just money just seemed to disappear and burn holes in my pocket. But I'll tell you, as a 45-year-old guy now, I wish I had done a lot of things differently. I had actually written an article in my blog about how I would advise my son if I was doing this. But it's much more fun to think of myself as a 22-year-old self and how I just burnt money. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I would definitely do is stay away from smoking and drinking. That I was probably spending $500 to $1,000 a month. Yeah, that was ridiculous. But the first thing is I would say talk to a financial advisor. I'll tell you, I walked into the office and the guy was like, "Yeah, it costs $500," and I didn't have $500 to my name, and I was like, "Why am I going to a financial advisor if I don't even have the money to invest?" But in retrospect, it would have been good at least to have that conversation as to, define goals, to understand what kind of vehicles you can put your money into. And I might be in a completely different situation today.
Right.
So one of the big things was, okay, save your money. And I would run into this situation where I would start saving money and then it'd be sitting there and be staring at me. And I'd be like, well, I want to buy new things. Around that same time, I'm buying a new car out of college, and I would tell my 22-year-old self, keep my beater that I had. I had an 84 Camaro. I ran that thing into the ground. Loved that car. But you get out of college and you want to impress your friends and you get this new car. No one cares. Just no one cares about your new car. You get the new car and then you want to show people and they're all like, yeah. No, they don't care. So save your money. See, it's like, $300, $400, $500, $600 for new car payments. No one cares. The big thing is also like certain kind of things like yield bearing items, rental properties, dividend stocks. One of the big things also is compound interest with things like 401ks. I told you before, at this point in my life at 45, I still don't have 401ks. And in my type of career, you work at a job 3 to 5 years and you move around, and it's very hard for someone like myself to kind of roll that money into new things. So people will talk about, well, what about a Roth IRA? I'm like, I don't know what that is. So these are the types of things that, we're going to be learning a lot about this stuff and then bringing it to you as well. So, some of these problems that I'm trying to tackle now as a 45-year-old, I wish I told my 22-year-old self. So, with that, you're 22 also, try and see if you can find a starter house. I know right now the real estate prices are absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. But if you could get a starter house so you're not wasting rent for a lot of years, that would help. Maybe live with mommy and daddy for another, 7 or 8 years. I wish I did. Right. I couldn't wait to get out of the house, and then I get out of the house and I'm like, wow, yeah, now I got a mortgage payment and rent. You're like, wait, what? So with that, one last thing I wish I would have done a little bit better was, don't eat out 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah. Put some of your money and invest it into quality food. Yeah. And that may not necessarily, affect you financially right now, but if you're alive for another 20 years or so, you can earn a lot more money if you're alive. So, try putting, as a 22-year-old, get better quality of food and eat out a lot less. So what about yourself? I mean, you hear anything there that just gave you flashbacks?
Oh my gosh, flashbacks. I don't even remember half of them, so that's great. But speaking to that, I mean, when you look at the most successful people in the world, I don't think Beyonce would be where she is if she ate crap food and didn't take care of herself, to perform with that kind of, level of energy and clarity, and that's another thing too, is going back to my 22-year-old self and saying, build your vitality, build your resiliency, build your networks. So your network is your net worth, right? The more contacts you have in all over the world, spend time traveling, spend time learning different languages, becoming a global citizen. as opposed to, keeping your circle really, really tiny, especially in the world that we're going into. And as a 22-year-old person, seeing the world I exist in now, I wish I did all of that much sooner. Also, get money, buy income. You were talking about that, pile of cash just sitting there staring at you, like, spend me. And, instead of buying shoes and bags, buy money. Did you know you can buy money? I didn't know you could buy money. I had my cousin
Give me
ask.
an example of that, if you will.
So buy a dividend paying stock. Apple pays a dividend. Go put that money to work to get you more money. The second you go and buy this or this, the money dies right there. It's not going out to get you more money, right? When you buy a home, a rental property, that's you buying money, because that's going to, you've got two ways you're going to get money from that is, through the cash flow of the rental, and then the appreciation of the property, which is just a cute little cherry on the top. Also, I would tell myself, buy the money that you're going to buy and never sell it. That is how rich people hand down generational wealth, is they buy assets and they literally never sell them. They borrow against them. Fascinating video. Nate and I are going to link for you in the description box. Mark Moss goes into great detail about how to borrow against Bitcoin, but you can insert any asset. Okay, it doesn't. You can borrow against real estate, and you can borrow against your stock portfolio. And because Mark's in the US, he actually does cover, like, Fidelity and Wells Fargo actually allow you to borrow against your stock portfolio. Use that money to buy more money. So it's fascinating. That's a whole other, you are a real estate owner of multiple properties. We could probably do a whole other video just on that in itself. Start early, start when you're 21, start when you're 20. Time is an investor's greatest asset. The longer you're in the market, the
There,
less
there,
risk you have.
there was something we were talking about, that time is your friend here. What about like opportunity costs on your end? What would you do with that respect?
So opportunity cost means, to me, anywhere that you're focused or invested means that there's other areas that are not getting your energy or your focus. So if you're off in la la land, dating and partying and, doing things that you think matter, and you do think they matter for some reason. I still have yet to answer that question, but it's going to cost you the other areas that need your attention, right? So
Well,
what
do you
about
know
you?
how do you, I don't know the exact number, but I don't know how many Netflix binges I must have done in my life. Whereas if you took that time and you were doing some side hustles, whatever it is you want to do, deliver pizzas, write blogs, do a YouTube channel. I have side hustles with real estate. I probably have at this point in time, at any given time, 7 or 8 things that I'm working on besides my real job. And the thing is here, if I was 22 and I had this kind of guidance, where would I be now?
Oh my God.
It was so important to, like, you know, make sure I didn't miss my TV shows. And I'm like, dear God. So that was a big thing.
I've watched Game of Thrones front to back 3 times.
Well, you know what? If you just, worked during that, you'd be a
Oh,
millionaire by now, huh? But with that, with the opportunity cost, if you actually took some of that time and maybe learn new skills, become bilingual, learn a computer programming language. Right now, we talked about this earlier, I'm actually looking to do the Series 65 so I can do investments. So these are the types of things that I want to do with my
right,
spare time,
right.
so I can actually put that time into earning a lot more money. But it's like, sometimes when you're at work, take every opportunity they give you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that may, a place you're working for will have tuition reimbursement. Take that.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Those are the types of things. But I just want to lastly, something just came in my head right
Yeah.
now. Like, I don't know how many times I would spend money on going to events or something. And it's like right now in my life, I love nothing more than like walking my dog in a park or going bike riding or running. And
True.
there's so many things like walking your dog is free.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much you can do to experience life that
Yeah.
doesn't require spending $600 for a ticket on something. So if you can
Absolutely.
find a quality of life doing that kind of stuff, you know, when you're 22, you know, you're not spending $600 for a football game here in the US, you
Right.
know, those
Right.
types of things. You can, you know, it's cost avoidance sometimes, but it's like you can, you know, do you have anything like that? Any free tips that you might that might come to your head there that, you know, avoiding, you know, spending $600 for a football ticket, anything like
Well, and
that?
I think for women, again, this is a generalization. However, I have a lot of younger cousins and siblings, and my younger cousin messaged me and she's like, oh, she's like, I want to buy a Louis Vuitton bag. And I was like, go with me here for a second. That bag, why don't you buy the Louis Vuitton stock? Because
Mm.
until you're actually wealthy, holding that bag, you feel a bit like a fraud.
You
And
$500 bag and you put a bunch of nickels
500,
in there.
me, LOL at 500. These
Oh,
bags are
really?
2,000 and up.
Oh,
No, it's madness. It's madness. And that's the irony is that the people that can't actually afford it want it, and the people that can afford it are like, yeah, like it's okay. I might buy like one every 5 years, but I said to her, I said, why don't you work on actually becoming wealthy first and then buy the bag? And that's something that Morgan Housel discusses in the psychology of money when it comes to the difference between rich and wealthy. We can mimic rich. We're monkey see, monkey do. If I see someone driving a Mercedes with a Gucci belt, you know, cool sunglasses, they get out in their crisp white tee, I'm like, wow, that person's really rich. I guess that's what it means to be rich. I can do that too. Meanwhile, you know, if you look at a real wealthy person and they wore a poster on their back showing you their portfolio, but they're wearing their cute little New Balance sneakers and their American Eagle jeans, and they're in a Toyota RAV4, but they've got 3 million in the bank, maybe you could mimic that a little better. But because we don't talk about that stuff, we just want to mimic rich, right? So I think what do you think? Did we kind of hit all the stops?
well, we want to hear from you. If there's anything that you would advise your 22-year-old self to do, what would it be? Did I miss something here? Did Ashley miss something? What are some other pointers? Go ahead and put them in the comments there. Again, this might be also a good a blog to write about. Get some good comments from all of you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to give a little tidbit. I want to read you guys something super fun about compound interest at the end of this video. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time. Take care. And now I'm going to show you the power of compound interest via the nomad capitalist. Give the penny a day story many of us learned in elementary school consideration. The story goes that a penny doubled every day for 1 month might not seem like much, but it will actually turn into a large fortune at the end. By merely doubling the previous day's balance, your penny will balloon, are you ready? To $5,368,709 at the end of the month. The power of compounding returns is indeed impressive. What they do not teach you in elementary school is that high taxes will knock those returns to the ground like having a cat for a Jenga opponent. If you factor in a 30% tax rate on each day's gain, be it short-term capital gains in this case, or profits tax in a more realistic example, your return changes substantially. So instead of that 1 penny a day turning into 5 million, it turns into a measly $48,197. So that means you got to get a little creative with this stuff. And we're going to cover more of that in coming videos. Thanks, guys. Take care. And as always, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channels. It helps the algorithm in YouTube send this video out more and more. We really appreciate all your support. Till next time.